what's your broad understanding of what elasticity means? Like,
elasticity is when the price changes, when it's elastic. The price changes, the quantity demanded will dramatically change also, right?
When it's elastic.
Yeah, when it's...
Yeah.
And then inelastic, when the price changes, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It will pretty much stay at the same quantity.
Stay pretty close, yeah. So that's for like demand, right? So
yeah.
A lot of them, they're pretty similar, the elasticities, but some aren't. Basically what this front page is saying is like when you're doing your calculations and you do like your midpoint formulas right here, and you do this and you divide them by each other, then you get some number. And then according to whatever that number is, it's basically going to tell you what, like if the number is greater than 1, then it's elastic. If it's less than 1, it's inelastic, right?
So it's saying right here, if the quantity demanded, right, if it's less than 0 but greater than -1, inelastic.
That's if this number is not just the quantity demanded, but the whole equation.
Oh, the whole
here,
whole
right?
equation.
Yeah. So that's going to give you. So basically, these are like interpretations for when you do this calculation. You get a number, and then you say, okay, what does that mean? Then it means one of these things here. So if it's greater than 1, it's elastic. If it's less than 1, it's inelastic, right? And we're taking the absolute value, so it can't be negative. Well, I mean, it might be negative, but that doesn't really matter. They're just like if the absolute value is between 0 and 1, then it's inelastic. If it's greater than 1, it's elastic. And if it is equal to 1, then it's uninelastic.
So right here where it's saying the absolute value, so if it's less than -1 or 1, I guess.
Yeah, so
could it be like -1.5? Then it would, that's less than -1, so it'd still be inelastic, right?
Yeah. So like the demand's always going to be negative, right? Because the price and quantities kind of go in the opposite directions, right? So one of them's going to be negative because one will be going up when the other one's going down, which means you'll have a positive number on the top and a negative number on the bottom, or vice versa. So you're always going to get a negative number. So basically, yeah, if it's lower than, right, if it's like -15, then that's elastic, right? But if it's -0.03, then that's inelastic, right?
And can you always take the whole value, or does it have to be? Because sometimes I thought, I was like, oh, it doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. So I feel like sometimes it does matter, sometimes it doesn't. So which one does it?
Yeah. So this is the only one right here where you see this absolute value sign right there. Yeah, that's the only one where it doesn't matter, but all the other ones it does.
Okay.
Yeah. And because those are going to say so like the other ones here, for example, some of them, if they're negative, then it tells you something. If they're positive, it tells you something else, right? So this is, so I guess this tells you right here, these are why something would be elastic or inelastic, right? Then also this relationship with total revenue is important too. And this is only, so up to this point right here, this is all just talking about demand, elasticity of demand for this stuff, right? So this relationship with total revenue, basically is what it's saying is if it's inelastic, then price and total revenue will go in the same direction. If I raise prices, then my total revenue is going to go up. If I lower prices, my total revenue is going to go down. But if it's elastic, it's going to be in the opposite direction. Meaning if I raise my prices, then the total revenue is going to go down, or vice versa. So that is important to understand because, if you're a business, you want to know, okay, is my good inelastic or is it elastic? Because then that tells you whether you should lower your price or raise your price in order to make more money.
And that makes sense too, because if it's inelastic and you raise the price, it doesn't matter, your revenues are
because people stop buying.
Okay,
right? Yeah.
That makes sense. So I don't know, I think it kind of, some of the questions on the test, it was saying like, here's the quantity demanded, here's the price, here's the change. Now is that like an inferior good or normal good and stuff? Is it something like it's a complement, inferior good? No. It was something. If we could do some examples of these, I think that would be just super helpful.
Yeah. So for income elasticity, it could be more than one of these things.
Income elasticity.
Because it could be
a normal.
It could be a normal and a luxury good.
That's where I was confused. A normal luxury good, normal.
So basically, what you would do right there is like you'd say, okay, so like you can say, so you're always going to want like there's some original quantity 1 and some original, there's always like some quantity and price that you start out at, right? And then there's going to be a quantity and price that you go to as it changes, right? So basically they're saying right there, for example, oh, well, actually in this example, I think it's not quantity and price, but it's quantity and income, right?
Okay.
So in this case, we'll do, instead of price, we're going to say income 1 and then income 2.
Cool.
And so we'll say, okay, maybe we're saying that at, maybe you make, I don't know, $1,000 a month, and you, at that income, you purchase, I don't know, 40 of these units, right? Then we're going to say, okay, well, what if your income increases to 1,100 and you start buying 45 of these goods. So now we want to say, okay, well, is this a normal good or is this a luxury good? Is it inferior or normal, right?
Okay.
So luxury and necessity, that's if they're normal goods. Inferior goods are something different.
Yeah.
So
is this where I go to?
So first of
right
all, let's
here?
do this formula first. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we have. Yeah. Do you have those memorized? Because those are good to memorize.
I don't have them
Sort of.
memorized, but I
Yeah.
know that I have to, and I feel like they're fairly easy to.
Yeah. Once you memorize one,
So-
really, they're all pretty much the
45
same.
minus 40.
Right. So yeah. So yeah, for these it really matters the order that you're doing them in. That's why there's all these parentheses in the formulas here. So yeah, what I do is I take it step by step like that. You know?
Yeah.
I just like go take it each line at a time.
So then I have 5 divided by 42.5 equals 0.12.
Yeah. So that's
now
on
that's
the top.
my for quantity.
That's your numerator. Yeah.
Yep.
So now the denominator, you put your income.
So my income, it's income 2. Well, it's pretty easy, like I can say, oh yeah, that's 100.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's my incomes added together, which, you know, and then that's just 1050.
Yeah.
Point zero, just 0.1. So 0.12 divided by 0.1 equals 1.2. So now,
Okay. So
if
now,
I'm doing this correctly, it's a normal good, and it is, I guess,
So here
it's a luxury.
yeah.
too.
So if it's a greater than 1, it's a luxury. If it's between 0 and 1, it's a necessity.
Luxury.
Yeah.
So what's
Right.
like an example of a luxury good? Like, you don't need to use these
Yeah.
numbers, but what is like buying a fancy watch or something, or
Yeah. Yeah. I mean.
so you can just tell by the increase of, well, I guess maybe
Well-
not watches is a good example, but
Yeah.
like from beef, ground beef
Yeah.
to like steak or something.
Right.
Okay.
So these are kind of subjective. Is that the right word? It's like not really. I mean, this is just what we have assigned them to, right? Like or obviously this one's like 1.2, so it's like right on the line between a luxury and a necessity. It doesn't mean like it's definitely a luxury. You know, you could maybe argue, well, maybe it's more of a necessity, or it's a little bit in between, right? Like you were saying, kind of like between the difference between beef or steak. You know, like there's obviously goods that are going to be on the borderline where like maybe it's a luxury, maybe it's a necessity. I mean, I need it, but do I need that one? You know, and so really all you need to know for this class is that these the numbers, right? And they're always going to give you examples where you have numbers. They're never going to say like, is this good a luxury good, like based off of just like what you would reason. They would have to give you numbers to back it up, and then you say, well, according to these numbers, you know, then it's a luxury or it's a normal necessity good.
Yeah.
So.
That feels good. I'm just thinking, what other questions do they want?
Yeah, I mean, basically with these, that's what they want you to be able to do, right? Is to be able to say. Another thing is like, I mean, they could say, well, yeah. I mean, they could just do like, they could give you a question like that, you find it, and then they could say, well, what if the price were to change? Or, you know, they could also say it in words. If they were going to say it in words, they could say like, what if the percentage of income rate, if your percentage of income increased and your percentage of quantity increased, but not by the same amount, by less than what the income did, right?
Yeah.
Then you gotta see, then you could just like assign it values that you want, right? So then in that case you would say like, okay, well, I know that it's percentage change in quantity on the top, and I know it's percentage change in quantity on the, or income on the bottom, right? If they say, oh, income goes up, and it goes up more than what quantity goes up by, right? Then you could just say, okay, well, maybe that's like a 2% change over a 1% change, right? Which equals 0.5, which then I could say, oh, well, then I know.
Be a inferior good.
Then you could say, I know it must be.
Wait, no.
Necessity.
Yeah, it's a
right?
normal good necessity. Yep.
Yeah, because we're saying they both go up, right? But just the income goes up by more, right? So that would be an example of like how on the test they might give you like, say the words, and then you have to say, okay, interpret that and say, what does that mean? And then you could just give it an example, right? And it could be any example. I mean, you could have put 2 and 4. As long as you're just doing what they're saying, right? You're still going to get any number where if you have a, so basically here, if this number is greater than this number, you're going to get some decimal, right? Because it's going to be a fraction, right? Whether it's 3 and 45 or, you know, what we did. But any number here is going to give you, and so you might see a question in that form, right? Where they don't give you these numbers, but they still expect you to be able to say something about what it is.
That makes sense. So what is remember
go with these
hearing?
other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard something about midpoint or something like that.
Yeah.
But is that the?
They call this the midpoint formula right here.
So midpoint formula is price elasticity of demand, right?
Yeah. I mean, these are all the midpoint versions of the midpoint formula. Basically, what the midpoint formula is doing is like, it doesn't really matter at this level. I mean, basically these are like curves, and you're trying to find the slope at a point on that curve, and it's calculus in reality, but in this class they just give you the midpoint formula to do it.
Sweet.
So that's all you have to worry about. It's just that you're using that. But
So what if we do a cross price elasticity?
Yeah, absolutely. So for that one, you have.
So what's like an example of this? We're saying a specific good, right?
Cross price elasticity is you're looking at 2 goods now.
In quantity demand
Right.
of product X, percentage change price of product Y. Okay, that makes sense.
So now.
So then so substitute complements, what's going on?
Yeah, so now you're looking at your quantity 1 and your quantity 2, but this is quantity of some good A maybe, and you're looking at the price 1 of some good B, right? So you're looking at the relationship between a quantity of one good and a price of a different good. Right?
Okay.
So like for example, we might say, and usually they won't give you the name of the product because that would kind of give it away before you have to do the calculation, you know? But like if we were doing like, you know, hot dogs and hot dog buns, right? So like we would say, here if we were to do this, right? We'd do like, so we're looking at what happens when the price of hot dog buns changes to the quantity of people who are buying of hot dogs.
Yeah.
And so obviously those, you know, they're complement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they weren't going to give you that, then they would say like, okay, so quantity of good A starts, well, you say 1 is, you know, 30, and then it goes up, quantity of A goes up to 60. And the price of good B starts at, $10, and it goes down to the price of good B changes to $5. So they're saying when the price of this good B changes to $5, it goes down from 10 to 5, then people buy more of a 30 to 60. So
I mean, first off, without even doing a
So-
calculation, what would you think that would be, right? If the price is going down of this one and we're buying more of this, what do you think these goods, how are they related?
If the price is going down and they're buying, wouldn't they be complements?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you're going to see there is when you set up your equation, right? Remember you have quantity on top and price on the bottom, right? And now this is quantity of A and price of B, but it's still you have this percentage change up here and percentage change up here, right? And so we know that this one is going up, right? So that's
Yeah.
a positive number, while this one's going down is a negative number, right?
Yep.
And so you're going to get some number that's a negative number. And in this case, that's what it's telling you is if it's a negative number, they're complements. It's less than 0.
Yep.
Right? And so, and you're going to see the same thing as if the price went up here, then the quantity would go down there, right? And then it would just be like a plus over a negative. But you'd still get a negative number.
Yeah.